Oh. All right, so we're back on the road for the second half of the I Hate Pedaling tour. So we're in Woodstock, Vermont, which is one of the most iconic riding destinations in the state, and it is one of my favorite places to recommend to those who are coming to visit. I do want to mention this video is sponsored by the Vermont Mountain Bike Association in partnership with the Vermont Department of Tourism. It's really cool to be able to showcase my home state to you guys. So we're actually doing 3 mini rides in one. We're going to be riding Mount Peg, we're going to be riding the Aqua Duct, and we're going to be riding S6 or Saskatchewan 6. These are all really fun destinations to ride on their own, but we're going to do a little bit of sampling in one video just so you can get a little taste. Right now we're going to start off with Mount Peg, which is probably the most well-known of the 3 locations, and we're going to be joined by our friend Gavin Vaughn, who was a former teammate of mine, and he's also one of the trail stewards of the area, but he can freaking rip on a bike, so it's going to be a really fun video. How often do you ride your e-bike? Because you're like the first person I saw like really embrace e-bikes.
Yeah, early on I adopted. Mainly I like convinced myself for trail work. I have like a weird like on and off relationship with e-bikes where it's like, well, this thing is super heavy. It's like 56 pounds. I feel like when I'm on it, like I have energy and I feel strong. I can like muscle this thing around. But then if I'm not, it's like you're just a passenger and you're like, well, I'm just riding down the trail now.
But cool, shall we head up? So how many like people are on the trail crew now?
It's myself full-time. Graham Farrington works part-time. Then like I consider the newest employee is behind us.
Yeah, I saw that you guys got one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's like, well, you know, it's like adding like a hand crew. Like right now I'm doing more of like, it's just assisting hand building.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that more.
You guys redid this climb, haven't you?
Yeah, so this was part of doing berms a lot.
Yeah.
We reworked this up, like cross down, trail, whatever.
This is nice.
Yeah, what the coolest part is like kids and like kids ride, they love lapping this. They just go up and lap berms a lot.
Cool. Yeah, we just got to the top. That was like on an e-bike, that was what, like a 3 minute climb. But yeah, there's like a bunch of different trails off of this side, but the 2 main ones are Cloud Drop and Hardstyle.
Yeah, I had a hand in both.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was back in like the volunteer trail work. Had like other people digging with me.
All this stuff's on Woodstock Inn, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Like right at these trees. That's all Woodstock Inn.
But cool. Let's I guess Cloud Drop to Sir Berms a lot. That makes sense. All right, Gavin is one of the most skilled riders I have been a teammate with and ridden with. So we're in for a treat. So when I come to this area, I usually warm up at this trail. I feel like this is a really fun single track blue. There's a bunch of good like line options. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but Gavin and I were on the same downhill team circa 2012. Went to a lot of nationals, at least one World Cup together. We kind of traded off on who would beat who. On certain tracks, Gavin was a faster rider. Certain tracks, I got him, but it could really go either way on any day. Okay, I have not done this. They reworked this trail, which is Sir Berms a lot, after the last trip here, and people have been raving about it. I can see why. It's good when you get tired from pumping. I like that. Bunch of little line options I didn't even get a chance to sample. Oh, there's a berm to berm gap there for sure.
Doesn't warm up. That was so much harder on me like today.
When I go back to back between this and my trail bike, I forget how much more work it is to pump.
Yeah, so much. I would love to like be a local and memorize that trail and learn where all the like ideal gap spots are and like.
You should go and check out this short trail on the north end.
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, wooden pieces on it.
Oh, perfect. Oh my God. Sniper lines. I know you don't race anymore. Do you feel like you're a better rider than you were? Or do you feel like you've regressed or stayed the same?
I don't know, I've been wondering about that. Like, I don't know. I do wonder, like, I tend to ride here a lot, just on the home trails.
Yeah.
And I do wonder how that affects, like, recently trying to race here and there. I feel like a fish out of water when I go somewhere else and ride like techier stuff.
Yeah.
Just different kind of terrain. I don't ride as much variety as I used to when I race more.
I want to give a big thanks to today's sponsor, which is VEMA, in partnership with the Vermont Department of Tourism. We're here in Woodstock, and the trails that we are riding are part of WAMBA. WAMBA is one of 28 different chapters under the Vermont Mountain Bike Association umbrella. One of the big roles of VEMA is to help legislate to make building trails throughout the state easier. Some of the uphill battles of building trails is sometimes the legislation that restricts what can be built where, and so this is one of the things that VEMA does a great job helping us as mountain bikers get access to different areas that we wouldn't get access to otherwise. When you become a VEMA member, not only are you helping support great trails, helping them get built, you're also going to get some cool perks. Some of these perks include free lift tickets, discounted to gear that you use on a regular basis, and even discounts to local stores in the area. So it's well worth it if you're planning a trip to Vermont to become a VEMA member, even if you're not from the state. And I will say, if you are planning a trip to Vermont, VEMA has put together a great guide for the different regions on where to eat, where to stay, and things to do when you're not on your bike. If you do come, be sure to become a VEMA member. It will save you a ton of money. But with that message from our sponsor out of the way, let's get back to riding and hit the trails. All right, so we just got up to the north side of Mount Pagan. Like this is where two main trails start, Trapline and Charlie's. Both of them are super fun. We're gonna take Trapline down. It's the black trail. It's fast, like the name kind of implies that. No matter which one you take, they're really fun, but it's actually a pretty big climb to get up here. So like if you're on a regular bike, I would usually pick one or the other in one day, but I have done both. Just make sure you have enough water. Am I recording now? I am recording now, good. Cool.
Ready?
Let's do this.
All right. Sweet.
Sneaky line. Got some insider lines here. Barely made that one. That section of trail is so tight. I love, like,
You essentially had to refresh that every year too.
yeah, because like the first time I was here, that was like, I mean, if you don't know it, it's really hard to attack that.
Yeah.
And even though I knew it was coming up, there was if you're like late in the first one, you're late into the second.
Yep.
And so like when you got to that one small berm step down,
Yeah.
you had a much better line. I had to kind of yank to get up and over it, and you like just pulled away.
I finally gotten, because that's somewhat new, that like launch like left to right
Yeah.
gap, and that's somewhat new. I did that this year, and it was like an every third time I'd get it, and then every other time now I can like get it every.
I do think the hardest part of this, I mean, there's a few hard parts of the trail, but the hardest part is the skinny at the top.
Skinny. Should we do it?
Yeah, we should at least attempt.
All right, we'll I'm not very good at it.
Well, that's reassuring. Oh, you actually did get it. Oh, wrong gear. There we go. Some new lines. Woo-hoo-hoo! Oh, that's a nice one. Gavin's got all these local lines. Oh. Oh my god.
That was wild.
That was one of the most fun laps I've done in a very long time.
That was sweet.
I think one of the things I've gotten good at is being able to like go relatively quick on trails I don't know.
Nice. I feel like I lost that ability with when downhill racing got serious.
Yeah.
I got very structured and like learning a trail, and I used to be better at it, and then it was like, I don't know, I struggled all through Enduro trying to get back to being able to just ride something.
All right, so we just wrapped up at Mount Peg, which could be its own video in its own right. This place it's definitely the place I recommend the most in this area, because there's good bang for your buck. There's a lot of really fun, snappy, pumpy trails, and then you kind of have your more raw, natural trails. But now we're gonna get in the car and we're gonna drive over to what they call the Aqua Duct. So yeah, let's get de-geared and put our bikes in the car, and I'll meet you guys over there. All right, so we moved on to our next destination, which is the Aqua Duct. So this place is, how would you describe this compared to?
Like it feels a little less climby and up and down. It's like a little more compact network that's quite easy to navigate.
Yep. Cool. Let's go ride bicycles. Gavin was saying that these trails, the name Aqua Duct comes from the company that used to run the water supply for the entire town of Woodstock, was called the Aqua Duct. And recently, Woodstock has, the town has come into ownership of this property. So these are now on town property.
This is Pepperjack.
Okay, what's the name from?
It's so it's like a Cabot Creamery funded trail. There was a grant.
That explains it. Okay, I was like, okay, that's kind of a cheesy name.
There you go. Well, and that's been the theme of, I think, a lot of Cabot funded trail projects.
Okay.
They make it a cheesy name.
Yeah.
They're trying to, and like this one's a little spicy, so it's appropriate.
Yeah, I guess Pepperjack's got a little bit of that peppery kick into it.
Yeah, we got some features on this trail, some drops, some step downs.
None. I take it none of this was machine built, or did you get them?
Zero. We had the candy comb
Yeah.
for the back half of it, all by hand. Graham and I like take pride in how much dirt we move by hand. It's kind of like the tail end of the massive hand digging phase.
Yeah.
It's fun until it's not. Oh yeah, it's definitely bigger in like person, but it's a cool feature. Oh, this trail is rad. So Vermont has like a way to fund some of their trail builds called NAMI grants, where different businesses can help fund some of these trails. So this particular trail was funded by Cabot, so that's why it's called Cabot Pepper Jack, which is pretty cool. Obviously, for those who don't know, Cabot's a local Vermont company, and they do a lot for the state as a whole. And their Greek yogurt is absolutely delicious. Whew. Took a little bit of a cheater line there. That was a really cool trail.
That's good. I lied, like it was just trail speed up there. We just fixed this because this was mistakenly put back in line with it, and it was like a really big hole. But yeah, that goes well. I don't know how I'm not sure on my e-bike. That used to be all, that was the borrow pit.
Oh yeah.
Level there. It was a great borrow pit. It was uphill.
Just throw it down.
It was super good.
And it's uphill, so no one really, like, I feel like when everyone's just hanging out on a trail looking at something, they always look down. They don't really look.
Now, like, I wouldn't be able to tell. Because, like, it just looks like kind of pits and, like, mounds that you'd see on a normal...
I try to mimic that when I get done. Just, like, ease off the edges so it just looks like another pits and mounds. Yeah, Graham gives me a hard time. Well, not a hard time, but he notices I take pride in that. I, like, take time to... Like,
it's time consuming.
It is really time consuming.
There you go. Yeah, I got up way higher.
I felt better, but I definitely landed more middle.
Want to lead this one out?
Sure.
Why is it called Slash Ridge?
Because the other guys, like my dad and Kent, kept getting pissed off because I would pick what I thought was the best line, and because it had been logged, there was treetops, slash piles.
Yeah.
Right where I wanted to put the trail. They called it Slash Ridge.
Pedal clip something right there. Oh, this is the one. This is a workout. You know, it's a good trail when you're breathing hard from pumping. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I'm cooked.
Yeah. Halfway down I was cooked.
Yeah. I caught my pedal on a different section this time.
I thought I heard like a hang up after you got through that.
All right, so that was the Aqua Duct. There's a few more trails that we didn't hit, but as you can see, like, there's a lot of characters. There's a lot of really fun stuff out there, and each one of these trail systems has a different flavor, and you'll see the next one has another style. So let's get on to it. We just stocked up on some goodies to refuel ourselves in between destinations, because I am starting to feel it. One of the huge benefits of being a VEMA member is you get a 20% discount at the farmers market and a bunch of other stores throughout the state. So not only are you supporting awesome trails and trail networks and trail chapters, but you get a little bit of a kickback at the same time. So it's a win-win.
For a little, oh, you got double action going.
I've had history with wrist injuries.
Yeah.
Scaphoids multiple times, both wrists. Yeah.
I broke this wrist at Fort Hill because my buddy went short on the...
Have you never met Larry before?
I've seen him around.
Okay, I was gonna say.
We've never formally met. It's like he looks super familiar.
Ever since I started going to Rye Airfield in different bike parks, I would just he would randomly pop up, and like today, he just randomly pops up.
I think a lot of it's funny. At times I see a lot of Rhode Island riders.
All right, so this is the climb up to the top of Saskadena 6, and this is actually the green trail. So this is one of the only two-way trails, but off in the woods you can see some of those beautiful berms are what we're going to be taking on the way down. So there is an event coming up here in August called the Triple Crown, where you ride all three of these networks as part of one race. And it's kind of interesting because there's like a whole race where you're timed on the whole race, but then there's like specific enduro segments on certain stages where you can go for like an enduro time. So it's kind of an endurance XC focus race with a little bit of enduro thrown in. It's pretty cool. I will say one of the best things about S6 is you do get rewarded with a sick view. No matter like what direction you're looking, it looks good. They used to have a really cool arch with like a cow skull on it. That was a really iconic photo spot. Unfortunately, that's no longer a thing as a few years ago, but you know, you still get to see the valleys and the mountains. So, and we get to look forward to the descent, which is what we're going to do now. After you, sir. All right, so we're going to start off with the blue trail, which is super fun. At one point, they had lift service here, but that was very shortly lived. I think it was during COVID that they stopped doing that, unfortunately. Ooh, that's a nice line. Sometimes it's really hard to see when you go into like a really bright spot and then go into dark woods. That contrast is a little sketchy. So I think they just freshly redid this before the opening this year. That's a blue, but it's like fast, which I like.
I think that's why people like it.
For people who don't go to bike parks, it's one of the first times to like get the sensation of going really fast, relatively, in a pretty safe trail.
Right. Yeah, it's so true. There's some locals that just won't go. Like I know they don't go to bike parks.
Yeah.
So they never experience that. Yeah, I get mixed feelings, like, because what we did first lap going up, it's kind of fun because the e-bike, you just hold momentum.
Yeah.
You're almost using the berms, which is fine.
I have mixed feelings on two-way trails.
Yeah. We don't love it. I really want to give it dedicated climb trail. Especially since we're trying to meet adaptive standards and like adaptive bikes going two ways.
Yeah, that actually is an interesting little conflict.
Yeah. But either way, they're like, I think they're trying to let the old leg grow back, but I feel like it's just kind of rough.
Okay, we've arrived at our final lap, and we are about to do the black trail here, which is really fun. It ends with a super cool hip, and like, from what I remember, this trail gets surprisingly steep. I remember this is a trail last year that I distinctly remember myself wanting more powerful brakes, and this time I have more powerful brakes, so it should be good.
Just trying to think if because I put in a special section for the Enduro. That's now just kind of like a permanent part of the black trail.
Okay.
Which we'll turn into and do that.
Yeah.
Bryce showed me the Enduro trail, like where it officially started down there, and we rode it, and it like a lot of off-camber turns in it. I was like, there's a few times where I was like, I literally can't even make the high line, and I'm in like the
Yeah, I'm
sand.
good. Okay, I think this is a new section right here. Maybe. He said they made a special section for like the Enduro race that was catching people off. Oh my god. I forgot how fast this section was. I forget how fast that goes.
It gets so fast at the bottom.
Oh my god. I don't think I've gone like riding that was that fast in a while.
Yeah, I started feeling quite comfortable that lap.
I could tell.
Bike time I've had in one day in a while.
Like I put yourself back in an Enduro, you'll do fine.
I almost lost the front again, right as you lost your vision.
Yeah. All right, that was a day. We ended up doing something like, so I've only had this running while we were actually on the bike. So we were actually on the bike for, I need to stop it now, 6 hours and 10 minutes. Whether we were actually moving, that's another story, but that was a big day. That was a really fun sampling of the 3 areas. I hope you liked it, because like I think this gives a good overview of why Woodstock is such a sought after mountain bike destination. There's a lot to love about a bunch of different destinations. You could spend a whole day here, you can spend a whole day at the Aqua Duct, and you can definitely spend at least a whole day over at Mount Peg. So I want to give a big thanks to Vermont Mountain Bike Association and the Vermont Department of Tourism for sponsoring these videos. And I especially want to give a big shout out and thanks to Wamba and Gavin for the hospitality, showing us around this awesome venue. If you do want to know what trails we rode, I'll link to most of them down below to showcase where what we rode at different destinations. Also, Vermont Mountain Bike Association has a really good guidance of all the different trail areas throughout the state, which is a really good resource if you're planning on doing a vacation to Vermont and go ride some of these sick trails. Every part of Vermont has a different flavor, and it's why I like calling it home. But with that out of the way, I'm gonna call this a day, and I'll see you guys at our next destination. I'm B. I'll see you guys later. Peace.